Want to build a high-performing team for your business? Let's dive into the essentials of building out that team. First, focus on hiring the right mix of skills and personalities. Diversity in your team can spark creativity and innovation. Next, invest in training and development. Equip your team with the tools and knowledge they need to succeed. Third, foster a positive culture. A supportive environment encourages collaboration and growth. After that, set clear goals and expectations. When everyone knows what they're aiming for, efficiency skyrockets. And finally, recognize and reward achievements. Appreciation goes a long way in boosting morale and motivation. Building a top-notch team isn't just about gathering talent, it's about nurturing it. Share this with someone building their business and their dream team. So now when you're building your business and when you're building your dream team, we're gonna dive a bit deeper into those 5 things. The first is effective hiring strategy. So make sure you've sent this to somebody who is really trying to build that business, really trying to build that dream team around them, because one of these tips might just change the trajectory of their business. When you think about effective hiring strategies, you need to really think about, okay, how am I identifying and attracting the right talent for my team? And you got to focus on skill diversity and culture fit. So the first thing I can think of is you got to know who you are and what you bring. If you have a really domineering personality and you're a visionary, classic example, visionary integrator. You're like, I'm going to think big, I'm going to go big, but I don't really care about the little details of getting stuff done. You're a visionary. And if you don't have an integrator, or a CEO, COO dynamic to really bring you down into the details of like, okay, here's the daily process of how this is going to get done. And I get where you're trying to go, but this is probably how long it's going to take based on the resources we have and the kind of skills and talent we can allocate to that situation right now. So you got to know who you are, what you bring, and then you got to know, okay, I'm a visionary, I need an integrator. And then you have to attract the right talent for your team. So you need to describe what that integrator looks like and write a really good, clear description of the job and what that person needs to be like. And that's just writing a job description. I'm sure you can get a recruiter to help you out with that, but you can also learn it on your own and write a good job description by asking people who you think hire people well, hey, what do your job descriptions typically look like? What's the process you go through for making sure you're clear about what you want? Then, of course, after you have these hiring strategies out and about, you need to train and develop your team. So you've identified them by knowing who you are and knowing what you need. You've then attracted them by writing a really clear job description, getting it out, and executing the interview process well. I'm not great with interviews, but I know a one-time interview probably isn't great, and you might need to interview 20 to 30 people before you get it right and know exactly what you're looking for. Because you might have an idea, but something Alex and Layla Hormozi say a lot is, you should be learning in the interview process. Like if you're looking to hire somebody and they're not teaching you when you're trying to hire them, then they probably don't have a lot of value to add to the business. They're probably not the right hire. And that's for your kind of higher level hires. But if they are not the right hire for the business, what can you learn from them? Like what questions should you ask? What should you be looking for? And you should learn that in the first 10 or 15 interviews. So it might be a slog, it might be a long time. But after you hire them, you need to train and develop them. And that's ongoing development into their skills, into their knowledge, training programs, mentorship. And you might need to go outside the company for this if you're a smaller company. So like get your sales guys sales training, get your marketing people marketing training, get your customer success people kind of customer fulfillment, customer success training. And just always be asking them to grow because you support their growth. After that, you need to cultivate a positive culture, and this really looks like just building trust so that you can move with speed, efficiency, and effectiveness. And that looks like all the little things. Showing up well, smiling when people talk, listening to them, doing what you say you'll do, and just really being a solid person. I think cultivating a positive culture is more about cultivating trust. And then when you've cultivated that trust and that influence, you can then build whatever culture on top of it that you want, as long as it is aligned with the company and where the company is trying to go. So I think strategies for that equal getting feedback and executing on feedback, doing the small things to build that kind of relational intimacy with people, and then obviously being very competent. And some of those things are being a good leader and John Maxwell talks about that, and then you grow your influence as a leader, and then you can start to set the culture, and you can start to correct people and support people and encourage people in a really meaningful way, and that's because they listen to you and what you say matters. And so creating that supportive and collaborative work environment that fosters team growth and cohesion starts with trust, and it starts with influence. Then it goes about like, okay, well, how do we work here? Like, are we working 12 hours a day, or are we working 6 hours a day and we're just doing the most efficient, effective stuff? And we're good with that 6 hours, because that 6 hours helps us hit our goal. Like, what is the culture here? And then you can be upfront with that about people. Like, hey, this is really what we value as a company. Are you somebody who would like this? Then you got to set clear goals and expectations. Like, you need to know what impact their role will make. And this was something that dawned on me yesterday as I was walking with my wife. I was thinking, man, if I wanted to hire a COO for my business, they probably want $250,000 a year, which means I would probably need to know how they're going to make me $600,000, $750,000 to $1 million a year, right? Like, that investment needs to be worth it. So not only do I need to have clear goals and expectations, but the expectations and goals need to clearly be able to happen, which I know seems logical, but I think a lot of people, or at least maybe not a lot of people, but when I was thinking about hiring, it was just, I'm going to hire somebody and they're going to go do the job. But it's like, no, I need to know what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, and how that fits in my business. I need to be able to communicate that in a very clear way, so that when a piece of the system that is going to work is broken, I can go into it and I can help them fix it and support them in it. But if I throw them to the wolves and I'm like, hey, you just got to figure this thing out, that's more of a I own 100% of the business type of mentality. Not a maybe I have a 1% equity incentive and get a salary mentality. So setting clear goals and expectations, just understanding how it works in your business and where it's going, is very important. And lastly, we want to talk about recognition and rewards. And Layla and Alex talk about this a lot as well, where they go, positive reinforcement is key in our business. And that looks like rewarding the behaviors that you want to increase and not adding something to decrease behavior. That's typically a negative stimulus. So punishment is decreasing behavior. Reinforcement is increasing behavior. And positive reinforcement is when you add something, such as a reward, right after the behavior to increase it, like feeding a dog, or you take something painful away to increase the behavior, which is interesting. That negative reinforcement is taking something negative away to increase a behavior. So like if somebody's left knee is always in pain so they don't run, you take their knee pain away and that helps them run more. I'm not sure on that, but I know you can add a reward to increase a behavior for sure. And that punishment creates that kind of negative emotional side of things. And even though it might stop the behavior in your presence, they will still do the behavior behind your back and they'll like you less. So it's really just making sure you have a culture of rewarding people. And it's like the carrot is like 20 times to every one time you use the stick. So that's what we got for you guys today on the show. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. And remember, we are a community of people judged not by our wealth, but by our impact.